When I was a lot younger, I had an incident that I refer to as the move. It was a bad time, and any attempts to summarize it would be doing it a disservice. I could never possibly get across just how terrible that week was. It's probably the first time in my life I could point to and say that that is the first time I really wanted to stop. One of those days after the move, I had gone out walking, and I went out. I had no goal, I had no intention in mind, I just wanted to get some air, and I walked north along the streets to a bookstore. And at this bookstore, I went ahead and went in. It was actually a used bookstore. I used to like going to used bookstores a lot when I was younger. So, I went into this place, and as was usual at the time, used bookstores tended to sell other things, VHS, movies, cassette tapes of music, and occasionally video games that people had traded in. Now, this next part I have to explain a bit because at this point in my life, my mother and I were very poor, and I had literally $20 to my name, and that was it. But when I looked into that glass shelf, I can remember it right now. I can literally picture it. I can picture the place. There was this little glass display case, and I walked up to it, and I noticed there were about 10 games in there, all SNES games. And 3 of them really caught my eye. Mega Man X1, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and Final Fantasy VI. Now, like I said, I've played all these games before, I've beaten all these games before, I just never owned them. But what really caught my eye was the price tag. Every one of them was $5 each. And so I ran back home, ran as fast as I could to make sure I could get it, picked up my last 20, rushed my way back to the bookstore and bought all 3 of them. And I went and I played them that day. I played Mega Man X1, and I remember just how much fun it could be. And I played Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and I remember just how engrossing it could be. But the thing about both of these games, which both occupy a slot in my top 20 list, is that they're both still escapes. It was when I punched in FF6 that things were a little bit different, because I started crying. Really, really hard, actually. I couldn't stop. I couldn't even continue playing because of how hard I was crying, because I remembered FF6. I remembered what FF6 was about. The connections between people, the bonds of fellowship, the things that bring us together, all those things that mattered so much to me all my life. I've never been an introvert. I've always been a social creature. And it made me cry not just because I had lost all those bonds in my life, but because there was one left that mattered to me more than anything else at that point in time. I remembered how much I cared about my mother, about my mom. And that gave me the strength to keep going. Some people ask me why FF6 is my favorite game of all time, and I could tell you how it hits every note. Music, graphics, gameplay. I could tell you how it has the most phenomenal stories, plural. But FF6 had a greater significance to me than just that. And FF6 is literally one of the reasons that you actually see me before you today. One of the reasons that I'm still here. Despite everything, despite all I've been through, Final Fantasy VI is partially responsible for the fact that I'm here right now. And I know I've shared that story with a few of you, and I apologize for the repetition, but I felt it was appropriate to explain. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get on with it, shall we? We actually need to do one quick thing here. And that is how FF6 starts. Keep it in mind, it'll be important later. Long ago, the War of the Magi reduced the world to a scorched wasteland, and magic simply ceased to exist. 1,000 years have passed. Iron, gunpowder, and steam engines have been rediscovered, and high technology reigns. I did, Omni. I'm not sure why it didn't take. Of course, Twitch has been weird about that lately. And I just want to point this out because this is basically the first named NPC we see in the entire game. Right there. I swear I changed it. I did change it. It shows FF6 on mine. And so here we are overlooking the cliffs of Narsh. No, I changed it, Zed. I just double-checked. Triple-checked, actually. So there's Vixen Wedge. Yes, it's a deliberate Star Wars reference. Hit refresh, Zed. It's just Twitch being Twitch. It's probably because you had it open before I said it. So... God, I don't even know where to begin. There is a billion things to talk about in this game. Like a billion things. Well, there's one thing to talk about really quick first. Hi, Bio. And that is the fact that I got a donation last night while I was asleep. I haven't actually updated it yet, whoever donated it, so if you're the one donating it when you're wondering why the total isn't updated, it's because I wanted to wait until I was live on the stream to do so. This was a donation to ensure that we are playing FF10-2 and watching the cutscenes. So, with that in mind, that brings us up to that and that for FF10-2. Thank you for your donation. I could chopping. I actually wrote a one-act play that was set literally right before the events of FF6, leading up to basically the game, an immediate prequel. I even performed in it. It was for school, but you know. You could probably guess which role I played. Can you guess? It's not that hard. Seriously, you can figure it out. Whoops. Just lost chat for some reason. Why did I just lose chat? That's not cool. Don't screw up on me. There we go. And yes, I'm letting this play. There we go. Yes, I played Kefka. Of course I played Kefka. It was basically the lead up to Terra being controlled and then the destruction of all that horrible stuff. It was actually primarily focused on General Leo, who was basically the main character, along with Terra. I was an ancillary character. But the one act ended on me. The very last scene was me forcing the crown onto Terra, and she immediately stopped struggling and knelt at my feet, and I just did the motions as if I was laughing, but it was silent, completely silent, and there was no noise in the entire auditorium, and then the lights went out, and that was actually the end of the one act. I was actually really, really satisfied with how that turned out. We got a standing ovation for that one. Of course, props to the actors. They did a really good job of it. The woman who played Terra did an awesome job of it. Alright. God, I am beyond pumped. Let's do it! Let's do it! Leroy! Hang on, first. Gotta do the speedrun thing first. No, I'm kidding. There's one thing we want to do first, and that is decide on our color. See, FF6 is different because it's not just changing the colors. You can do, whoops, you can do this, or you can do this, you can do this, this. I'm not doing this. I absolutely refuse. It actually hurts my eyes. I like this one. In fact, if you'll permit me to share with you, okay, 21 and 14. I actually have a specific version of this that I like to do. And it's probably pretty obvious what I'm doing already. Give me just a moment to finish this up. You can tell I've been doing this a lot. I don't even have to double check my numbers. I know this game inside and out. It would be incredibly unlikely for you to actually tell me something about this game that I didn't know. Bamf. This is actually one I used for quite a while. But we could go ahead with the classic. This is the Chrono Trigger one, as we like to call it. But we can keep it low. Sure, why not? So, because this is not a full speedrun, we're going to do a slightly different strategy for this intro section. Now, in case you're wondering, this is intended to really get across the point of just how much stronger the Imperial forces are overall to the everyone else forces. At least when the Empire's trying. Ah, damn it. I screwed that up. Oh well. I'll fix it. Yes, Vix and Wedge are a deliberate reference to Star Wars. There's actually about 6, I think, deliberate references to Star Wars in this game. So it turns out, guys, that the Magitek Witch, the Sorceress, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, was just too much for even Vix and Wedge to control. And they probably should have left her home. But this is all intentional. Geshtal specifically sent Terra here, which, if you think about it, doesn't actually make a lot of sense. Why would you send Terra here? Your secret weapon, your super amazing mind-controlled... Hang on. Your mind-controlled super magic weapon hybrid thing here for a mission that's just only of relative importance, all things considered. Now, don't mistake me. The discovery of a new Esper is hugely important because they haven't found any new Espers in, well, 17 years, as it happens. And yes, I can say to the exact number, exactly how many years it's been. I can answer that, Raskor, but I'm not going to. Yet. And yes, we're actually fighting everything. We're doing a slightly different strat because we're not actually speedrunning, like I said earlier. But yeah, it is supposed to be Wedge and Biggs. But as you'll notice, FF6 actually has a lot of translation differences. I'm not going to call them errors, but they are very much differences. For example, FF6 introduced a lot of things like cactars and tonberries, but they weren't called that. They were called cactrots and pugs, and I need to sneeze. Pardon me. So, some of you may be asking, why is it that they bothered, I really should say, Ted Woolsey, bothered to translate so many things differently in FF6? Well, that's obvious, if you really think about it. The reason why is because Wolseley, he's actually, I shouldn't say it's obvious, he's gone on record and actually admitted why he did this. Wolseley wanted to put his, he was told by the translation team, we're trying to make this version a little bit different. And FF6 was actually very much an experiment for Square, and in many ways was the last true game of the old guard when you really get down to it. No offense to FF7, but it was a completely different animal when they finally got to FF7, if you know what I mean. Just a second, 3, 4, 5, we're on fight 6 here, there we go. So, what Wolseley was doing, in many, I mean, obviously there's the usual censorship stuff, but that's been true since forever. He was told, put your stamp on it, put your mark on it, make it different, do whatever you want with it. And so in many ways, his quote-unquote translation errors weren't actually errors. They were literally just him trying to add a little bit of flavor to it. If you know what I mean. He was actually trying to put his own particular brand of stamp on everything. No, Biozilla, I refuse to tell you all the references just because I hate you. Also, most of them are pretty obvious, but I will point them out as we go. Now, even back in the day before I started actually speedrunning or hardrunning this game, I would usually kill Vixen Wedge. You may be asking, well, why is that, Arsh? Is it because you're psychotically evil? No, of course not. It's because this next scene is actually really funny. If they're dead. Not this scene, not the scene where they break down the barrier. This cutscene that's about to happen. I have no idea chopping, I don't have a smartphone. So, they're dead. But then they jump up! Oh my god! Think back to our briefing! What about it? Do you recall hearing about a monster that eats lightning? Of course, and stores energy in its shell! Right, so whatever you do, don't attack the shell! Okay! Plonk! And they're back down to dead again. Yeah. And of course, Welk, the star of our show, as you can see by my new thing, my new layout. Gru. To this day, I actually say Gru sometimes in real life. It's usually done, my friends who know me know that it's basically an implication that I'm not feeling well, or something's wrong, either mentally or physically. So if they hear me go, oh, Gru, or if they actually hear me type it out, then they know what that means. Goodbye, Welk. And that's how you kill Welk really, really easily. It's actually easier without Vixen Wedge in, because it's easier to get the 3 inputs in, 2 inputs before he goes into the shell, and the 3rd one after. That's pretty much the fastest I can get that fight without actually manipulating his ATB. And yes, I know how to do it, I'm not actually that good at it. It involves internal counting. So there it is, the Esper. So, some people have asked me, why is Tritok the only exception? The one Esper that isn't in the Esper Cave. Oh, they're back up again! The problem is, that's not the only Esper that's outside the Esper Cave. As we discover, especially in the world of Ruin, there's several. About a dozen, give or take, actually. The only reason this Esper happened to be the one that started the plot is this was the first one to be discovered. I guarantee you, if for whatever reason Tritok, or Valim Gabag, blah blah blah, hadn't been discovered, the other Espers that are throughout the world would eventually have been found by the Empire to be used. So, yeah. Now, this character rename, we're renaming all the characters in FF6. This one was requested by an individual in honor of her friend, which we're going to go ahead and do in just a moment, as soon as I pull it up here. A little bit more so I can see it. There we go. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing. This is Terra. She is 18 years old as of this moment in time. And 17 years ago... Well, we'll talk about that later. Illyria is what we will call her. And no, Zed, what happened to... That's another... Okay, that's a good question. Some people have asked me, what actually happened to Vix and Wedge there? They were destroyed. Like, if this was in CGI, they literally would have been disintegrated, is basically what happened to them. Tritalk, it just evaporated them. And it's actually funny because it's actually kind of a teaser in its own way. The idea is to get across the fact that Tritalk is way stronger than they are, and indeed probably the strongest Esper they would have seen so far, which is especially true because Tritalk is an incredibly strong Esper if you think about it. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that Tritalk literally atomized Vix and Wedge, even despite their Magitek armor. That was also done for story purposes to emphasize the difference. Man. In defense of this game, amnesia in an RPG was actually kind of new at this point in time. So anyways, whoops, I need to not be in chat when I'm hitting the display, the encounter counter. Oh, chopping, it was amazing playing this game. You have no idea. I still remember the first time I ever picked up this game, and I was just like, I'll tell that story in a minute. But we're not opening the chests because this is a full run, so we'll be opening those not the next time we come through here where the chest will be upgraded, but the third time where they'll be upgraded again. So for anybody who hasn't played this game, and if you haven't played this game, what the hell, dude? But if you haven't played this game, don't pick those up until the third time through, and you'll get the actual best gear, including a ribbon, I do believe. So the first part of the game is very much done for literary thematic style. Hang on just a second. Yeah, it's not worth it. I don't care that much. Not really. Although I guess I could. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll be talking anyways. So, you come here storming through with these Magitek armors, and you just obliterate everything. Now, granted, those first enemies are basically the second weakest group of enemies in the game. The soldiers and the wolf things and the tusker things. But nevertheless, those guys need to they're not just incredibly weak. That's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is to emphasize the fact that the Empire is ridiculously strong, and that the Magitek armor is just head over heels above everything else that everyone else has access to. Now, why do they do that? Well, of course, there's some obvious thematic reasons to explain why the Empire is strong and has this kind of power at its back. But the real reason to emphasize it is to get across the idea of just how strong Tritalk is. Because that's actually the real point behind it, is to emphasize that despite these incredible machines of magic and technology, magic technology literally, forged together. Also, it's another thing I love about this game. This game pretty much gave me the term Magitech, which I use to this day. The magic technology just is horribly... I don't know if you've ever seen what the Magitek armors look like in 3D, but oh my god, they're incredibly impressive and horrifying. And they just stomp their way forward and destroy everything, and then Tritalk obliterates Vix and Wedge without even trying. Atomizes them, literally. And that was the whole point. The idea wasn't just to emphasize how strong Tritalk is. They were trying to get across the idea that the Espers, and this is something they'll emphasize much later, the Espers are this unfathomable, beyond human power. They are something that is a power, you know, to use the old term, the old Greek term, they are a power man is not meant to know. And to try and deal with these creatures is the height of hubris, which literally is from Greek meaning to challenge the gods. And yeah, Zed points out, makes a good point. Tritalk obliterated 2 Magitek's armors and destroyed a third innately, while asleep in a block of ice. And hang on, I need one more level. This'll do it. One more battle, I swear. But you might see me level a couple times, but I don't really mind in this game because I have no problem talking in this game, and I've got a lot to talk about, which is good because in this game, in an FF7, an FF8, and an FF9, I lack the ability to cheat. It's literally fundamentally impossible for me to. So no cheat codes from here to 9, guys. So I hope you're with me for the ride, because these games are going to be long. I'm probably going to be playing FF6, 7, 8, and 9 for at least into the next week, just by themselves. By the way, Mega Mike, I actually really like Realm, but it is worth noting that Realm also is not only an interesting character to me, but has the best magic defense and magic offense innate stats in the game. Yes, better than Terra and Celis even. But of course, That's there for a real purpose. There's an actual story purpose behind that. But I'll be talking about that when we get to Realm. I have a billion things to talk about in this game, so I hope you'll forgive me, because unlike FF5, I'm going to be talking pretty much non-stop. And by the way, Bio, no, of course I don't hate you. Dude, you're awesome. What do you want from me? Or should I say you, Xylizbol, you're awesome. So this is the scene where Kefka puts the slave crown on Terra's head. And this scene is something that I know several people have misunderstood over the years. This is Terra, mind-controlled by Kefka, in a suit of armor, killing Imperial soldiers. Now, if that doesn't make sense, you don't know Kefka. Seriously. That makes so much sense, it's kind of creepy, really. That is so Kefka. Let's go and update the encounter counter while we're here. That was 16 encounters up to this point. The encounter counter might be high for a bit, but it will level out as soon as I get the Moogle Charm, I swear. Speaking of which, actually, I need to pull up something. I just realized I forgot to look at this before I started. Give me just a moment here. FF6. There it is. I like to do FF6 in a very specific order when I'm doing a marathon. And by the way, this is the 5th, I believe, time I've streamed FF6, not counting speedruns. So, yeah. I don't put 7 on a pedestal, but I am going to be talking a lot in 7 too, because I have tons of things to explain in 7. So, Locke, I'm almost positive this is Shuryu, which is unfortunate because he's not in here right now. Shuryu was our winner for yesterday's encounter guess for FF5. Grats to him again. He actually got a game he wanted to. Yay. Shuryu, that should fit. 6 characters. Am I the only one who is really bothered by having only 6 characters as a limitation? My first name and my middle name and my last name all just barely fit in this game. It's hilarious. So, Locke. I'm not going to be talking about Locke too much. I'm not going to be talking about Locke to a great extent until we get a little bit further in the game, but let's just say one of the reasons I like Locke so much in this game is he is one of those characters that has multiple layers to him, and he's a wonderful deconstruction of the I'm hiding behind a thing, you know, I'm a treasure hunter, not a thief. I'll talk about that in a minute, though. Bum, 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 bum. Now we're going to go and do the speedrunning trick here for anybody who didn't actually catch it last time. It's actually a nice little trick. We're going to go to the full trick this time because this is a full run and not a speed run. So here we are in the Narsh Caves. Locke has managed to find Terra immediately. I just point this out because Locke finds Terra immediately for 2 reasons. One, he's highly motivated. There's a woman in distress and it's Locke, really. That's just kind of Locke's personality in a nutshell. I'll talk about him, like I said, later. I love Locke's song, by the way. Hang on, okay, I gotta concentrate for just a moment. Hang on. No. Ah, damn it, I screwed it up. Okay, we might not be able to pull this off now. Hang on. Get down there. Okay, I think I can still do this. Yeah, I made it! No! Damn it, I screwed it up. I'm sorry, guys, I screwed it up. I was just a little bit too slow. Oh, hey, Shuryu, welcome back. It's you! Except it's not you, it's Mog, and Cuckoo, and Kutan, and Kupan! By the way, Wolseley gave those their names, just in case anyone's wondering. But yeah, Locke is pretty awesome as a character. And again, the idea that there's a woman he's never... I shouldn't even say it's a woman. There's a person he's never met before in his life who he suspects to be an enemy, and he knows that she's in danger, so without question or hesitation, he goes out, finds her, and is willing to fight Narsh people, who are, let's make this clear, kinda his allies, in order to get her to safety immediately. That's just Locke in a nutshell. Oh. Really, it is. Actually, there were Moogles in FF4, as I described. Let's get these off of you, Mog. Thank you. Dusk Requiem, please. Goodbye. That's a death attack, for everybody who's wondering. That's why it's kind of useless for most of the game. Because one thing you'll find out about FF6 is they give you several ways to cast death magic, and then they make virtually every enemy in the game immune to death magic. So Locke comes here because he's highly motivated, but also because that other thing he's already hinted at. He's a treasure hunter. Right? He's not a thief. He's not a plunderer. He's a treasure hunter. Right? Like I said, we'll talk about that more a little bit later. What character isn't awesome in this game? None of them. They're all awesome. Hey, Permeus. Shoutouts. I actually like Umaro, admittedly. So Shuryu has saved her, and then he finds out that she can't remember anything. And so he says a line that's actually really important. Give it time, you're safe with me, I give you my word. I won't leave you until your memory returns. Try to remember that line. It'll be important later. More than once, actually. So you may be wondering, why did I bother to go ahead and get Terra to level 7 instead of just accepting level 6? The reason why is because every character in this game, when they join you at a certain point in time, they join at your level plus or minus a certain number. Well, hang on just a second. And I have no idea if there's a Twitch event going on right now. It is the weekend, so that could be related. Oh my god, it's just a Lobo. Okay, we're good. We're done here. I'm going to pick up a couple items for the hell of it. Correct, Permeus. So I kind of like this too. This isn't new though. FF4 had this, FF5 had one of these, FF6 has this. And this is basically just a tutorial area where you can learn all about the way to play the game. It's actually really cool, all things considered. It's an idea I kind of like. FF7 had one too. And FF7's even had a second one when you got to Junon to explain a few more things that have opened up at that point. External, apparently, I actually did some looking into this after the last time I did this. It depends on your version of the game. Some people may not know that FF6, and most console cartridge games in general, actually have multiple versions to them. So, FF6 actually has, to my knowledge, just in the SNES version, even in English. Hey, by the way, this is the actual weakest enemy in the game, Leafers. Remember that, it'll be important later. Seriously, it will. I'm not kidding. So, FF6 has, to my knowledge, 3 versions of the game just in English, and it also has, I believe, 5 in Japanese, something like that. It has a few, in other words, is what I'm trying to get across. So only on some of the versions does that old junk data for the monster in a box still exist. And that's what it is, it's junk data. Also, the sketch glitch works completely differently depending on which version you're playing. So, Figaro Castle. This is pretty much steampunk incarnated, in my opinion. It's a giant castle, classic, old style, except there's all sorts of portions and pieces of it here and there that are just randomly technological, like the vents and the gears and the machinery, that kind of thing. Wonderful layout for this place. So Edgar is going to be renamed Solus. I don't know if he's in the chat. Or rather, on the stream, I guess I should say. Whoops! I don't need to do that, right? I'm playing on my SNES. I don't need to tab to the window. Fun fact, I'm actually not going to be emulating any of the games for the rest of the marathon. Every one of these will be played on their original console, or something equivalent. Solus. Sorry, Chopping, can't do it. Yet. I'll talk about it later, I swear. First, we're going to talk about Edgar. So, Edgar is one of those characters I find interesting because he also has a bit of a mask to him. A lot of the characters in this game wear masks. I don't mean literally, of course. I mean figuratively. A lot of characters in this game try to disguise some of the things that are them in order to, you know, make them to hide or to disguise themselves or because they're past or whatever the reason is. A lot of them have their own things going on. Yes, there is. Kings Falls Down. Anyways, where the hell was I? So, Edgar is no exception to this. And Edgar's mask is the fact that he's a womanizer. Which is funny because every time the chips are down and the situation is serious, Edgar just kind of spontaneously stops being a womanizer. It's funny how that works. It's almost as though he's not actually a womanizer at all, but he's only pretending to in order to push people away because of his worries about the situation with his brother and the fact that he has difficulty becoming close to people, thanks to the fact that his supposed parents dead when he was young. When he was, 14, I believe. You can download it. That is correct, Stoop. You can download it free on the PS3 or the PSP. Hang on, Lux. Let me go ahead and get your encounter vote down here. We gotta rename Sabin. By the way, it's Sabin, not MASH, not anything else. Lux, I have you down as a just for fun. Is that correct? The beeping noise is IRC. Anytime anyone says my name, it beeps. Please don't spam it. You're just gonna bother people. Sabin is being renamed. Really? That can't be right. Hang on a second. No, apparently that is right. Wow. Well, whatever. It looks like it's time for the return of Bowman. That's right, that's why. Hey look, it's 7. Also MASH. No, I'm just kidding, it's 7. It's 7. Okay, Lux, hang on. So what was the number you were guessing? 415. Man, it's so weird playing this game casually. I've been speedrunning this game for like the last several months, and I'm sitting here like, oh my god, I'm not moving! I'm not moving, what's wrong with me? There we go. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Yeah, Sabin is... Well, let's just say that there's a line that was mistranslated in the SNES version. Now, this is an actual mistranslation. What's funny because the second line was correctly translated. So, yeah. I'll talk about that when we get there, of course. But yeah, Sabin's a big old guy. He's a bear, if you know what I mean. I guess it's time for my debut. Phooey, Emperor Gestal's stupid orders. Solus, you pinhead! Why do you have to live in the middle of nowhere? Oh, these recon jobs are the bits. There's sand on my boots.
Sir, all set, sir.
Idiots. Now I want to explain that scene, because this is actually kind of important in its own weird way. That is the second piece of characterization we've had for Kefka. The first being him killing his own troops because Kefka. The second is he literally wanted the soldiers to clean the sand off his boots to demonstrate the fact that they were worthless. To show them how insignificant and irrelevant they were because they were subservient to him and their lives meant nothing. That was why he made them clean the sand off his boots. In case anyone was ever wondering. Both of them, Mega Mike. What brings Kefka, humble servant of Emperor Geshtal, into our lowly presence? A girl of no importance recently escaped from us. We heard she found refuge here. This wouldn't have anything to do with this witch everyone's been talking about, would it? Lies! She merely stole something of minor value. Is she here? Well, that's a tough one. See, there's more girls in here than grains of sand out there. I can't keep track of them all. I'd hate to be you if we found out you were lying. I truly hope nothing happens to your precious Figaro. Mwah, 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 mwah. It is actually possible to get a whole head of Locke, but it requires a Game Genie or the GBA version of the game, where you can actually, you know, zoom through. You have to have the sprint shoes, basically. And it's actually harder to control than you'd think. So it's pretty rough to get there in time. Omni, I actually used to do voice acting back in the day. For television and for video games. Oh my god, I'm a treasure hunter! God, I'm not a thief! So this is when we first find out about the Returners, and we find out that Edgar, who is a firm supporter of the Empire, is actually a firm supporter of the Returners. If you guys need me to, I can lower the quality of the stream by, like, quite a bit, but the catch is I'll be lowering the quality of the stream by quite a bit, so that's your guys' choice. Assuming anybody even heard me. I love this song. I love every song in this game. What am I saying? So then Edgar awakens the next evening. Well, this evening, actually. It's the Empire! It's Kefka! Bring me the girl. Now. Oh, well then. Welcome to my barbecue! By the way, I love this because it's, again, a characterization of Kefka. He literally doesn't care if you bring him Terra or not. Because he just gets to burn a castle. Isn't that just awesome? Have you changed your mind? I feel bad for the soldiers working for Kefka, especially given we actually talk with some of them, or well, we hear some of them talk later in the game, and they don't like Kefka very much. Shameful that a king should flee, leaving his people behind. How utterly delightful. And no, Zan will not be here for the opera scene. However, well, I don't want to say anything. And I'm not going to say anything. So like I said, Castle Figaro. By the way, the thing I find amazing about this, and you do have to kind of keep this in mind, these people don't have magic. Figaro Castle isn't using magic to try and do this. It is pure technology that it is using to burrow under the sands. Try to think about that for a moment. Go! Get them! Oh my god, it's the hardest fight in the entire game. Now, I didn't do this for the speedrun, so I kind of owe it to you guys. So just for you. Cure, I guess it doesn't really matter. Just cast the spells. Here, guys, be healed! And Edgar's like, holy crap! Solus, what's the matter? You look positively spooked. Did you see what I saw? Yeah, kid's really loaded for bear, right? In other words, Locke has already seen her cast magic, obviously, because there's several times when you could have done that. She's amazing. That was magic. Magic? She used magic? Illyria, where on earth did you learn that? Sorry, I'm just, yeah, okay, look, I didn't mean to make such a big deal of this. Me either. It's just, I've never actually seen magic before. Where did you... Hey, look, Solus, Illyria can use magic and we can't. That's the only difference between us. Fact is, we could use her help. Thanks, Shiryu. Thanks, Solus. Wink. Swoon. Stop swooning! I always like to picture that it's actually the Magitech soldiers who say stop swooning. I know you can see this scene anywhere else, up until you leave South Figaro Cave, but I always like the idea that it's actually the Magitech Knights. Son of a submariner! They'll pay for this. And now the scene where we go in silence. So some of you who watched my Kingdom Hearts 2 lore run know that when a game doesn't bother to use music as a proper tool, it bothers me. And one of the ways they do that is too much silence. Kingdom Hearts games in general have this problem of too many cutscenes that just have no music in them, and it just kills the mood. If you're going to use silence in a game, you need to have that silence be the emphasis. Have the fact that there is no music be the fact that is significant. So in this scene, for example, it's silent, but we hear the ch-ch-ch-ch-ch of the chocobos, just to really emphasize the scene, and then the music starts up. That is how you do a silent scene. That's how you do a no music scene. Take note, game developers out there. I know a lot of you out there, actually, a lot of my viewers are game developers in themselves. Hey guys, word up. Now, I need to check my stats really quick to check something. We'll go get one level in here. Because, Bio, they were astonished that they had used magic. No, I'm kidding. They were just standing there because they're very polite Magitech soldiers. And yes, the no music counter was in Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry, I'll stop doing that. I really like the music in this game, and that's kind of one of the ways I emphasize. By the way, I like the fact that there was a turtle in that pond. Do I like the fact that there was a turtle in that pond? I think it'll be obvious soon. And by soon, I mean in about 8 hours, give or take. For those who are wondering, I'm going to kind of try to beat my record of beating this game with a lore run, you know, the 90% run and all that stuff. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Thank you, James Hassett. I hope you enjoy the rest of the marathon, and I'm glad you enjoy my stuff. I'll go ahead and add you on Facebook as soon as it gives me a notification for it. Because Facebook's kind of weird for me sometimes. I love this music. Yeah, give me a second, D4. Let me pull it up. This isn't quite a great place for that, but it will be in a moment. Okay, hang on, I have a notification right here. I'm not sure why I didn't get it. Yep, I have a notification here, another $8 towards... Hey, who's that guy? Looks like a ninja. Yeah, whatever. Another $8 towards playing FF10-2, which pushes this up to 9. There we go. Donation received, and thank you very much. Of all the directors of FF, who is my favorite? Well, that's easy. Seriously, it's kind of an obvious answer. That being said, I actually really think Tetsuya Nomura is an excellent director. I know some people don't like his drawing style. I know some people don't like his storytelling style. But you can't argue that he is just an awesome director. Permeus, I'm a lot easier to get a hold of on Twitch if you ever want to do something like that. In fact, by the way, Third, thank you for reminding me, Third last night donated a couple of more games to the stream to be given away as prizes, which is awesome. So I give a lot of gratitude and thanks to him. And hopefully that'll make it so it's less likely that people will be stuck with a prize they don't want. So, Shadow. Pretty sure I know what he's being renamed, and I'm right. I don't know if he's in the stream, though. He's not. Ah, well, pity. Yeah, basically Omni. So I like this because the English version actually makes Shadow look more sinister and evil than the Japanese version. And if you see the proper translation of the GBA or anything like that, you'll notice that this is just Shadow being cold and indifferent, not I would kill anyone for any price. Which actually makes a lot more sense. Yes, I am 7th. Assuming you can hear me right now. Okay, so you are being renamed. By the way, I like this song too. Zeiss. That's Zeiss! He'd slit his mama's throat for a nickel! Better steer clear of him, I guess. Hey, what's up, dude? Out of the way! Gotta get this cider to the old man. Now scram! Okay, dude. You don't have to be such a jerk about it. Jeez Louise. Some people, I just swear. It's a shame Zeiss wasn't there for that. That would have amused me. Alright, we're gonna pick up a couple items here. Even though I probably shouldn't do this. There's actually a lot of items in South Figaro. There's only 2 that really matter, though. And those are these ones. Oh, by the way, he actually talks about certain events that'll be coming up soon. So, that's the richest man in town. We'll talk about him more in a minute. I swear we'll talk about all these things eventually. I swear we will. But this is South Figaro. Also part of the Figaro Nation, just like Figaro Cave and Figaro Castle and Figaro. Let's put these on you. And that on you. Yeah, my chat was dropping me earlier too, and then it just stopped. I think it's just the web server. Web chat is having some issues right now. Whoops, whoops. Ah, pay attention, Arsh. Pay attention. And if we talk to the kid here, we learn a few other interesting things. Which we'll talk about later. But yeah, South Figaro has managed to stay independent from the Empire for quite some time, all things considered. However, there is kind of a catch. See, here's the problem with South Figaro. South Figaro is a part of the Figaro Nation. That means it's sovereign territory to Figaro. Now, I don't know if you're already picking up on this, but the only way that Figaro... that the Empire could ever politically justify conquering any of Figaro's territories is if Figaro itself did something to sever the alliance between Figaro and the Empire. Okay, I want... Yeah, I can go ahead and afford that. Yeah. Actually, let's go ahead and... There we go. Of course, Bowman. Ugh, whatever. Like I said, I can lower the quality. I just don't want to. But I'd rather you guys can see this live than not. That's more important than having it be high quality. Even for this one. Yeah, anyways. So, if only Figaro Castle had suddenly taken this action that the Empire could spin as having, like, in some way split their alliance... It's almost as though someone who has a keen tactical mind, like, oh, I don't know, Emperor Geshtal, had decided to intentionally send his most unstable and dangerous individual to Figaro Castle, knowing full well that if Terra had actually made her way to Figaro Castle, there is no way in hell they would give her up. Specifically as a means of using it as a political excuse to declare war on Figaro, which not only enables them to take Figaro Castle, or, well, oh, damn it, he's not dead. Ugh! There we go. To not only take Figaro Castle, but also to take South Figaro. However, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you think of it, Emperor Geshtal has an individual in his ranks known as General Leo. And these dishes were his favorite. And this tonic was his favorite. Tea. And these flowers were his favorite. Fascinating. Bowman was here. Hey, do you know Bowman? Yeah, of course I do. Everybody knows Bowman. Plot, plot, plot. We'll get to that plot in just a little bit, probably when we're going through Mount Colts. Whoop, whoop. But I wanted to talk about the fact that there's a lot going on behind the scenes in FF6, which is one of the things I like about it. Because again, this game is just amazing. I'm sorry, I hate to summarize it, but there it is. Sure thing, 7th. 432. If I can find you on the list here, somewhere. Damn it, where's the S's? I've got so many people guessing, it's insane. There we go. First guess, 432. Yeah, the encounter counter is going to go up pretty fast for the first world, and then it's going to slow down a lot. Damn it, and now... Damn it, okay, hang on. Yeah, hang on just a second. There we go. I need to set her up on fight. Okay, we're good. Now, Krenzler's making his first guess for FF6, which is 375. What job class is Grease Monkey? It's actually supposed to be Grease Monkey, by the way, as in, you know, an engineer, mechanic kind of guy. Tuskers, we're not ready for you yet. Bye. Bye. Have fun, Tuskers. Bye. Bye. Someone asked in chat. Sure, Lux. Kazam! We're currently at 27 as of that fight we just had. Whoa! I swear I can type. There we go. Okay, so. Someone asked, what was the first moment I felt FF6 was truly more? Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say when the triple split for the scenarios happened. And it's because Sabin's scenario and Locke's scenario both were just wow for me. Dude, Kind the Box, is there anyone in the entirety of the history of ever who doesn't suplex the train when they get to it? Seriously. Come on, dude. Stop talking crazy. Anyways, Arching Guy 626 asks, are there things I don't like in this game? Yes, actually, there are two. As I've said before, there's no such thing as a perfect game, and even FF6, my favorite game of all time, has flaws. And those flaws are, number one, the encounter rate is too high. FF6 is kind of an artifact of the older FFs, where high encounter rates were kind of the norm. And the high encounter rates in the old games were the norm, specifically because you needed to grind and level so much in the old FFs. But that was old design. You know, it's not really necessary anymore, so they could have lowered the encounter rate significantly in FF6, just in general, and it would have actually improved the game significantly, in my opinion. The second thing that I don't like about this game is about half the monsters in this game, kind of like in FF5, have a really screwed up and just kind of gross and ugly and disgusting and generally unpleasant appearance. And so I think there's just a little bit too much ugliness in this game. Just my take, but whatever. Yeah. And I'm going so slow. Of course, I'm not speedrunning. I mean, it's not super high, but it is, in my opinion, too high. That's just my take on it. Those are my two complaints of FF6. So, let's go ahead and talk about what just happened in the background there. It turns out that someone named Bowman has been training with the ancient monk master Duncan for years upon years out here in the wilds and the mountains. But as they've been practicing for some strange reason, Duncan decided to go ahead and... There was a bit of an issue. We learned bits and pieces of this all the way up until World of Ruin, for that matter, when we find out Duncan's actually alive. But the long and the short of it is, Duncan actually faked his own death specifically to see how his son would take it, because he believed, for some reason, that his son could not handle the responsibilities and the maturity of being a monk, not like Sabin could. Well, the funny thing is, he deliberately went out of his way and told Sabin that he had chose his son, Vargas, to be his heir, but he deliberately did not tell this to Vargas. Well, as you might imagine, Vargas then killed his father. In other words, Vargas thought he killed his father, but as we've established, Vargas is actually frickin' pathetic, so didn't even touch his father because Duncan's awesome. And, by the way, just think of Duncan as Galuf, and it fits surprisingly well. And so, as a result of that, Duncan faked his death just to see, basically to go ahead and hide from the world, continue his training, and basically push Sabin onto his path. It was kind of a three-pronged plan. He wanted to get away from the world, he wanted to push Sabin onto his path, and he wanted to see if his son could, you know, manage to actually do something with his life rather than be a worthless, pathetic, weak, power-hungry idiot. And as we all know, Vargas kinda failed that test. Sorry, Duncan, your son sucked. And Sabin will kill him in about, I don't know, I'd say like 5 minutes from now. Depends on how long this takes me. This is a save point. Here's how save points work. We'll go ahead and get our first save of the game here. God, it's so weird to be saving in this game. Actually, we're going to go ahead and blow one of our sleeping bags, too. I don't really need to save, not for a while. Right, I'm not playing FF4 anymore. I can just hit X and switch between characters. So Boletaria asks, how did I perceive Kefka throughout my first playthrough in the World of Balance? That's a very weird question, but I perceived Kefka as a loon who I just felt like there was something else to him. At the time, I hadn't really thought about it a billion times like I have now, but I was just like, this is just so weird. This guy has all this power and all this knowledge and all this information, and he does all these horrible, terrible things. There's got to be something. There's got to be something about Kefka that's more than meets the eye, so to speak. And it turns out he was, in fact, a Transformer. Named Starscream. No, I'm kidding. So, Shadowlink asks, does Sabin continue to be a monk after the game ends, or does he return to Figaro Castle? The answer is both. Because both. I don't even feel like there's anything to explain there. Man, I already explained the whole Vargas thing. I already kind of spoiled the whole Vargas thing. Damn it. God damn it, 3 steps! Go away! Alright. Now, here's a question for you. Which game do I think exposits upon Kefka, other than FF6 itself, the most? It's kind of a weird question, but the answer is actually really obvious based on the way I phrased it. Hey, Vargas. Ugh! Look at it, Zed, all the things you can hop between. It'll be great. Oh my god, it's Vargas and Ipuch! Whatever shall we do? Yes, Dissidia is correct. Kefka actually gets a fairly large amount of characterization in Dissidia, weirdly enough. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep him alive. I'll have potions coming out of my ears soon enough. But yeah, Kefka, not only do we hear about how screwed up Kefka is in the classic sense, and the voice actor for him is really awesome, but we also kind of learn more about Kefka as a person in Dissidia. And yeah, I'll be talking about that too, because I always kind of felt that to begin with. Okay, I see a lot of people cursing out Twitch. I offer the option once again to lower my quality. And he's dead, because Vargas is pathetic, as we discussed earlier. Now, why is it Vargas feels like he's strong? Now, it's not just the fact that he's, you know, an idiot. It's not just the fact that he's, you know, oh, I'm super strong because I got muscles. No, it's not just that. He bothered to learn 2 attacks from his master. Only 2. Blizzard Fist, which is that, and Doom Fist. In other words, this is kind of a Street Fighter thing, if you know the story behind Street Fighter. The only abilities he bothered to learn were the ones that enabled him to kill people, or make them go away. And that's one of the reasons Vargas was so shocked that Sabin knew more advanced techniques that don't involve just killing you, and then Sabin uses them to kill him, ironically. So there's a line that people have been confused about for years in this section. And it is, yeah, the Akuma thing, exactly. So, Terra here says, younger brother? At first glance, I thought he was some bodybuilder who had strayed from his gym. That's actually Wolseley just playing with it, but the funny thing is he then went ahead and translated the next section correctly, because then later on, Sabin says, do you think a bear like me could help you? Because the original translation of that was supposed to be Terra saying, I thought he was one of Vargas's bears at first. And thus, Sabin saying, do you think a bear like me? It just makes the line make a lot more sense. I just thought I'd mention that. You know what, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and lower the quality. I really don't want anyone to miss anything, and I'm going to be talking, like, non-stop today, so we're going to go and just stop the stream. I'll be right back. Gotta wait 10 seconds, though. Let's go and get this tent while we're at it.